Ricardo Report Recruiting. I, of course, am Chad Ricardo. Today, I have an opportunity to have with me a guest that I hold near and dear to my heart, my main man, Mr. Cole Donaldson. Cole, thank you very much for taking a minute with me here today, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. So,
Listen, you and I, we were just talking off camera. For everyone who's watching right now, your screen is not deceiving you. Yes, he looks like a model. It's because he is model, actor, everything else. We'll get to all of that in just a minute. I want to start on the gridiron because that's where a lot of people are familiar with what it is that we're talking about here. You played some of your youth ball out there at Bowie. That's where I had an opportunity to get to watch you play initially. At that point in time, I truly believe that that was kind of like the heyday of youth football here in the DMV. You all had a huge rivalry going on at that point with the Maryland Heat. What was that rivalry like? Because it was heated both on the field and sometimes in the stands as well.
you know, Chad, from where I come from,
Yeah,
where we live, it's a little different out here.
yeah,
And there's not that heated rivalry. So for me, going into that, I was like, dang, like it's real.
yeah.
And but no, I mean, I just remember how competitive everybody was
Mhm.
from practice to warm-ups to the actual game. Everybody was so competitive, especially when that Maryland Heat week came around. It was all locked in. There were no jokes going on. So it was honestly for eighth grade football team extremely competitive.
There's a lot of people out there that are like, "Oh, this is youth football, etc., etc." But I believe that they needed to be here, especially at that time, because it was so much more than just eighth grade football. Like it was the main attraction.
Yeah, no, definitely. Honestly, how I compare it is it was not just football, it was life.
Yeah.
And it was life for everybody. That's what it was. And that's how important it was to everybody. So,
And of course, transitioning from that Bowie football team, you went on to play at DeMatha.
right.
What had you choose the Stags?
Chad, I asked myself this question even till this day.
Okay.
And there was just something inside of me that just said, go to DeMatha.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was God talking to me. I don't know if it was because Grant went there, or I don't know if it was because Brendan Looney was there and I wanted to go honor him.
Sure.
Um, just something inside of me said DeMatha was the place to go, so I took the shot.
Of course, you mentioned Grant, that of course being your brother. He was a linebacker on those championship Coach Elijah Brooks's DeMatha Stag squad. So definitely shout out to Grant. He's definitely my little homie out there. I want to talk to you, of course, about the incident out there on the football field. No matter how old we are, no matter how many years that we spend time on any football field, the most important thing is being able to stay safe and to be able to walk into the next play and to walk into the next day. Like I said, I have tremendous care for you and your family. There was an incident out there on the football field in which you scared us all. You playing safety back there, you had an open field tackle on Antoine Littleton. Walk me through that play, what you remember of it.
I will. That game forever is always engraved in my mind. From waking up that morning
Yeah,
to that night in the hospital, I can just remember everything. And so that drive, at the time we had a safety or a corner, sorry, Harold Peters. He was um, he was injured, but he was still playing. It was his senior year. He wanted to play.
yeah,
Um, and I think eventually they kind of figured that out, and so they started targeting him. And so Coach Josh ended up taking him off, had me go over from safety to corner, brought BJ Blake in to play that stag position. And so I got moved to corner. This was 6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second quarter. They're driving, and we call cover three sky. And basically for us, that was the corners, we go press. And if our man presses us vertical, then that's our guy. We go with him. And so I remember kind of running up to the line kind of late because we got the call in late, and I line up on my receiver, and he presses me vertical, so I'm running with him. But I could kind of tell by the way that he was running. You just get a
Sure.
tell he's just running me off. And so I know that he's not getting the ball, he's not doing anything, he's just trying to take me out of the play. And by then I turn and I look back, and Antoine Littleton is about 5 yards behind me, full head of steam.
Sure.
And for those of you guys that don't know me, at the time I was probably 5'10", 160 pounds.
Sure.
Antoine Littleton's 270, 6 foot, 6'1".
Nickname Baby Bus for a reason.
Exactly. Exactly. But no, so and just the way I was angled at, I couldn't really turn completely around to him because I'm not trying to get ran over. And so I knew my best bet was honestly just launch from where I was at and try and take his legs out. And I got low, but he got low, and his leg just came up and hit me right in between my back plate, my butt pad, and the rest is history.
Look, I got to tell you, I remember that day and that play, and I always will as well. I was there. I was actually in the end zone as we were on Military Road. It was the St. John's home game for everybody watching at home. Twan and St. John's had really started cooking with that running game, and he was coming downhill. He was headed towards the end zone. You were really one of the only things between him and the end zone. You made that tackle, Cole, and when you didn't get up, with you being someone that I care about, when you didn't get up, I instantly went into panic. I go from journalist to family member in a heartbeat. I want to run out there on the football field, and the first thing I'm doing is looking for your mom and dad to make sure that they can get down there to you as well. What were those moments like for you as you lay there on the field, and what were the first things that your parents said to you?
Um, this is it gets me very
Yeah.
emotional. Um, I remember when I hit him, I felt a giant pop in my back,
Wow.
and I was kind of rolling around for a second. I was like, it was in pain, but I had been through so much in the past with injuries and health issues that I've always kind of like, my dad has always been rub dirt on it. You know, you'll be fine. Get up, let's go.
Sure.
And so that was kind of my mentality as I'm rolling around. And I remember rolling over to my stomach, pushing myself up, and I was on my hands and knees, and I was stuck,
Yeah.
and I couldn't move. And at that point, I knew like I had to lay back down. And I remember laying down, and Miss Wendy, our trainer, I love that lady to death. She's like a second mom um, for me, and she comes running out. She feels it, and she goes, "Call the ambulance." And I said, "Miss Wendy, I'm not getting on an ambulance." And she goes, "Shut up, call the ambulance." And at that point, like, I just started crying
Yeah.
because I knew with all my injuries in the past that that was going to be the last time I ever stepped foot on a football field.
Wow.
And so as soon as that happened, my mom comes over, and she doesn't know what's going on. And she just sees me crying. I've never seen my mom ever cry. My mom is the toughest lady you will ever meet. And she just started bawling her eyes out. And for me, that was
That was
hard because I think I knew that I was going to be okay, but she didn't know that. And I knew that that was very hard for her. And she rode with me all the way from the ambulance to the hospital, right by my side the entire night. So it was hard.
again, this is so many, not only student athletes but also parents out there. This is their absolute nightmare, is their baby, because that's what you all are. You know, I mean, you're young men, you're gladiators, you're all of that. But at the end of the day, you are your parents' babies. This is a nightmare. You make it to the hospital. What is that next day? What are those next months like for you and the fam?
Yeah, you know, I remember I remember going into the hospital. This is honestly, this is one of my like happy memories, I guess, or a memory that makes me laugh. Something I like to look back on. is I'm getting rolled in to the emergency room. They're cutting all my stuff off. You know, they're cutting my jersey, they're cutting my shoulder pads, they're cutting everything. And all of a sudden I just kind of feel like a draft down below. And I look to the nurse next to me and I'm like, "Excuse me, do I have anything on?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Can I maybe get like a blanket or something to cover me up?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, 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 of course." He grabs it, puts it on my chest. I said, "Can I get it down there, please?"
Right.
But that was kind of the one happy memory I like to look back
Right.
on. Um, and then after that, it's just, I mean, it is what it is. It's a lot of pain, a lot of struggle. I, I remember sitting in the hospital bed at like 3 in the morning. Nobody's up. It's just me. I'm sitting there. My dad, my mom went home. She had bad neck and back issues, so I get it. My dad stayed with me the entire time.
Sure.
And he's sleeping in a recliner, like straight up. I'm sitting there at 3 in the morning, and my feet are so hot. They had these socks on, and the thing is I can't move. And so I'm sitting there, I'm struggling for like 20 minutes trying to push these socks off with my feet. And I just started crying because I just felt so helpless and so it really it was a really bad physical injury, but it did a lot mentally to me. And honestly, it made me feel so useless and just kind of like nothing that I did ever mattered. And so that was really hard. And to be honest, it's been hard still. I try to get over it and I still trying to reinforce things. And it's a hard struggle, constant battle. But my family has been amazing. They've always been supportive and they have always been right by my side trying to help me. And so I look at it from that perspective and try and keep a positive mindset and attitude with it. But it's hard, you know?
When you say that it's still hard today, why?
I've played sports my entire life. I mean we all did. That's what we grew up playing. That was like our structure. And so having all you know just ripped away from you in 4 seconds, it it leaves you kind of feeling lost, you know? And that's something that I'm trying to figure out now. I'm trying to find that next thing that will bring that same structure and satisfaction um, that sports did, because it's hard. Because I mean that's all we did. You know, our I was talking about it the other day. My dad would always preach when we were younger. It's God, family, school, and
Right.
sports, and that was our lifestyle. I'm not in school anymore, and I'm not in sports anymore. You know, so trying to find that next thing it's hard. It's difficult.
You speak about the mental and emotional turmoil. Taking a look at the physical for just a moment, what was that rehab process like, and at what point did you know that you were at least in the clear that you'd be able to walk again?
Um, so I was in the hospital for 3
Yes.
days. I started walking on my third day. Um, I'll never forget. Um, I had a girlfriend, Olivia. She came to the hospital and she visited me, and she would always try and help me walk. And she would walk down the hall with me and walk back, and walk down and walk back. Um, so at that point, I knew that I was gonna be good in the sense of I'm gonna be able to walk again. From a rehab standpoint, it turns to the mental struggle of where I was
Sure.
at that
Right.
time. I knew I wasn't going to play sports. Um, and I just tried to walk away from everything.
Wow.
And I really just tried to leave it all behind and put it past me. Um, and then at that time COVID came around and it was a lockdown
Sure,
situation, and there was, I mean, we have weights here at our house, but I never used it, and I started to struggle physically. Like, you could tell by the way my body looked that I wasn't working
sure.
out. I wasn't doing anything to try and get back. And I've always been a super active person. Um, and you could just tell that I wasn't doing it. And anytime I got the motivation to, I would always end up hurting
Wow.
myself because I would have this mental standpoint of like, oh, I'm still an athlete. I'm still a football player. I'm still a lacrosse player. I can do this. I can lift this weight. I can squat this much. And I had to start from the very basic beginning. And I had to slowly work my way up. And that's been a struggle because it's very damaging to your
Sure.
mental, to your ego, to anything. And so I really had to build up base by base again. And I would say it really didn't start until maybe a few months ago, So it's been a process.
When you were in that darkest moment, how were you able, because we see things like this that can really, really wreck a young man, a young woman's life oftentimes. So when you were in your darkest moment, how'd you pull yourself up? Who helped you to get through that?
Honestly, um I'm not a super emotional guy. Um we weren't really raised like that. And
Bunch of house
so
full of boys,
I
right?
kind of yeah, yeah. And I kind of put so much pressure on myself figuring it out. Um, and I relied a lot on my girlfriend uh, to kind of find that like joy and happiness. And I realized that wasn't a good thing. It didn't. It really caused a strain in our
Sure,
relationship. Um, and then I realized that I can't do this all by myself. I can't, with everything that I've been through. I can't do it all by myself. And so I turned to God. Honestly, I I've never I was never a really religious person growing up, especially as a kid. I never really kind of grasped the concept of it. But when that injury happened and all my mental and physical struggles started to happen, it felt like I was losing
sure.
everything. And I had no control over it. There was nothing I could do about it. It was all just slipping away, and the harder I tried to grab it, the more it just slipped. And so I turned to God. I started to go. I reached out to a bunch of different people and just talked to them about it and what they could, uh, the knowledge that they could give me to kind of pull myself out of this, and the personal relationship that I needed to build. And it's still something that I'm working on today. But I guess that's kind of the long term answer to that.
I think that in anything that we look at in life, being able to identify the silver lining, as cliche as that may be, but the silver linings and the positive notes, I think that those are great things to do. I look at now a relationship that you were able to build with Antoine, and again, this goes back because Antoine played on those Maryland Heat teams where you played with Bowie. Then Antoine played with St. John's. You played with DeMatha. You all are like the Hatfields and McCoys. After this confrontation on the football field, were the two of you able to stay in contact?
Yeah, actually, so once the play happened, an entire year
Yeah,
went by, and I posted it on my social media, on Instagram, and a few people reposted it and stuff, and he saw it. And this was really cool to me because we never knew each other before. Like, we
sure.
had no contact, we never talked. And he reached out to me. He said, "Hey, like, I still think about this play all the time. I never meant for any of this to happen, and I'm sorry, and I want you to know that." And that to me was really like, wow, you know, um, because he it's
Sure,
the game, it's
sure.
what happens. So he doesn't have to apologize for anything. And I said that, I said, look, I hold no hate in my heart, and the fact that you went out of your way today and you contacted me, I really appreciate that. But don't ever feel bad for playing the game, and it's the game we both love. So I get it. It happens. And so we've talked here and there um a little bit, but I mean we're not hanging out all the time. He's busy doing his thing in Maryland. Actually, I went to a practice there the other day and I saw him. He
Yeah, he
looks
does. He
amazing. He looks
down a lot. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. So it's really cool though cuz it's the kind of bond where like you don't have to talk every day
sure.
to know. I could reach out to him, he could reach out to me whenever, and I'm sure we would do
Up.
anything for
That's
each
what's
other.
up. You speak about him doing his thing out there on the football field with the University of Maryland. As I began this with, you two have moved forward once you decided that you were not going to be playing anymore. Moving into this, the modeling, the acting, the entertainment phases of life. What's this been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. Like I said, it was kind of losing sports was losing
Yeah,
everything that I knew. So this has been foreign to me. I've been trying to learn it
right.
and figure it out. And the first year that I started doing
Yeah.
it, COVID hit. You know, so it delayed everything. Um, but it's been interesting, but it's also been a learning experience and a growing experience. Um, I would say in a great way for me. I've been learning a lot about myself because I mean that's what acting and
Yes.
modeling is.
Yeah.
It's you, and you got to bring yourself to the character. You got to bring yourself to the shoot, and so you really have to know yourself and learn yourself. And so I think from that aspect, it's been really great. Um, just kind of learning and
Now,
growing.
obviously, this is we are all in the process, right? Like whatever. I remember Colin back when I was your age, some 25 years ago, however old I am right now. But I always thought that there was like a there. Like once I get there, I'll be good, or once I get there, all of this will make sense. As I've gotten older, what I realize is that there is no there. We're always all in the process. So where you are in the process now, if you had any words of advice for anyone who walks away from the game, albeit because their time is up or albeit due to injury, etc., what words of advice can you give them from your experience on how to kind of ease that transition?
Take it day by day. It's not gonna happen overnight. I think one thing with me that I've really struggled with is I've always been naturally gifted in athletics. I'm not the most naturally gifted with acting in a sense. I've never done it before, so it's new. So it's going to take time. And I think as long as you just take it day by day and build the foundation, over time you're going to start to see things come into play and into fruition. Um, so just be patient and give yourself a lot of space. Um, I'm very hard on myself. I've always been very hard on myself, especially when it came to sports. And that transitioned over to this, into acting and modeling. So when I don't give my best performance, I get very
Yeah,
hard on myself. But in my head, I've been doing it
right,
my entire life
right.
when I haven't. So I got to give myself space and understand that I'm new to this. It's going to take time and practice and dedication. And so I think really just be patient. That's all you
For
can do.
anybody out there who may be struggling with the transition, is it cool for them to reach out to you? Because I think that this is a very powerful interview. So there may be some parents out there that are watching right now that know that their child is going through the same. Can they reach out to you? And if so, what are the best ways to contact Cole Donaldson?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that was kind of one thing I struggled with is because, I mean, not a
Sure.
lot of people are going to go through that same situation. So I didn't really have anybody to reach out to. And it makes you feel very
Yeah.
lonely and isolated. and that can be very damaging to your mental or physical health or anything like that. So definitely, if somebody needs to reach out and talk, they can always come to me. I would say the best place to reach me is Instagram. You just DM me. My Instagram handle is underscore Cole, Cole, Donaldson, Donaldson underscore. So just give me a follow, reach out. I'm always going to be there for people.
My family, my friend, Cole Donaldson, thank you so very much for stopping by and talking with me today, bro.
I appreciate it, Chad. Thank you for having me.
Ricardo report, bruh.